Okay, so welcome to the third episode of Evolve with James. Today I have another human being, Matt. That is your name, right? Okay. Um, Matt is he was supposed to be the first guest, but then we had some like technical difficulties, so he's now like our third. Today I wanted to talk about a lot of things that were going on in the world. First of all, before I get to that, Matt, how'd you get into lifting?
So I want to say September will be 4 years now.
Okay.
So 2018, freshman year of high school, went in maybe 105 pounds soaking wet. And I remember telling you this, I was a little
Yeah.
twig. And my entire family, as you know, has a history of bodybuilding or just being athletic. D2, I was the one outlier in my family.
Yeah.
So just kind of between that, being unhappy, being pushed around and bullied, I decided I'm going to get in a gym. I mean, obviously it wasn't anything great.
But
Benching,
you started.
benching 5 days a week pretty
Yeah.
much, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But, it was one of those things where we had a schedule. You went in on Monday, you bench, barbell bench, just light, coming off the weekend. Like, Tuesday was just accessories, arms, pretty much. And then we'd have Thursday be a leg day, Wednesday be another bench day, and then Friday was max up bench day.
But you did it.
Yeah, but it's literally everyone.
You wanted to gain weight.
Yeah.
You wanted to get bigger.
It was a poor attempt, but at the time it was, a freshman in high school.
Everyone has a different starting point.
Yeah.
Mine was just very irregular. I happen to run into like the biggest guy in the gym and gives me steroids, and that's not a fucking normal. And I was 21 when I started lifting, so it's not normal. But that's So I was curious.
Even now though, it's like a rabbit hole. You fall into the supplements, all the different brands. So I feel like now, especially getting into lifting, is hard because a lot of it is marketing off the fitness industry.
Yeah, I think people should just ignore
bullshit.
that and fucking train heavy.
Yeah.
I really do. I think the most successful people in it will end up being the people who push themselves through. I mean, at the end of the day, look at all these people. They rotate every 2 or 3 years. Who's on top as far as like someone that's like an Instagram
Exactly.
person. So you have like 2 years to market yourself, and then you're done. So do you think these people have saved a lot of money? No, they're fucked after that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's just I think everyone should just focus. Like lifting should always be like what keeps you sane, what's a hobby. That's the number one thing. And then you grow a business or you grow a life off of that.
Yeah.
You
But it
don't
needs to
use
be
that.
something like you said where it's not 2-3 years and you need a lifestyle.
No, yeah,
that
you
goes
put your
behind
life to it.
Because when I started, the guys who got me into it was David Lade and Dylan McKenna. I don't even know if you've heard of them because they were literally 2 years done. That's it.
Probably.
If you go to look up David Lade now, he doesn't train. He's still on gear, so he still looks insane, but that's about it.
That's funny. Interesting. So what do you think about I sent you some stuff, and I'm sure when I sent you things you probably found other things, links get to it, about all these railroad car crashes.
I mean, I've seen a few things about it so far, but it seems deliberate. I don't know what the reasoning would be, but I do believe there's something pulling the strings behind it because it's been, 7 days and 5 accidents?
Do you think it's that? Or do you think it's like our country being our own terrorist? Kind of like potentially
believe so.
potentially the 9/11 building. We were still not sure about that. Who actually destroyed that building? Was it our government that is doing this, or are we having some like terrorist attack that we don't realize?
Well, 9/11, I remember they said the planes technically should not have made the building collapse or have been an
But I'm
explosive
saying, what
device.
about this though?
Yeah, but I'm saying that's why I believe with this there could totally be,
They could.
someone. I think now also you've noticed in the news it's being pushed very hard, like under other stuff.
Yeah.
I see a few posts about it, but that's
So you
about
see
it.
the things about UFOs and stuff.
Yeah, and at the same
So
time,
they're talking a lot about like,
and
like
one
there's
was in
something going
Romania
on.
now.
Yeah, there's something going on about UFOs and I don't think no one's coming out and saying that's what it is. I think they're trying to allude to that, and I don't think that is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a cover for something.
But it's not impossible. So here's my theory. So imagine, we're destroying this earth. And I'm not a big like environmentalist, but this country's getting destroyed. We are literally doing shit to put us on the brink of a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Right now, the Soviets had put out something like, and they haven't put out nuclear ships in the last 30 years. They've deployed them again. Nuclear ships. It's kind of scary because they could fire all different angles and hit everyone that they want to attack at once. we shoot them back. It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we hit a bomb. You hit, it's like me and you punching each other. We're both get hit. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
who wins. We're both
And
getting
in
hit.
this case, everyone else gets included.
Everyone gets
in it,
destroyed.
too.
Yeah. So let's just say for a moment that let's look back in time. Okay, so imagine. I mean, this is like 2023. Just in the small amount of time that we're keeping track. And when did Industrial Revolution start? Like
1800s, late 1800s.
Yeah. So say that. So it's not that long, right?
Yeah.
So we have like 150 years, 120 years, something like that. When the computers come out.
What was that, early
70s, 80s. But when they, and then look at like Apple and look at mass maybe computers, you know, that are actually stuff like, that are just like the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yeah.
This is all real recent, right? Last 20, 25 years.
Because an iPhone's still within the 2000s, if I'm correct, right?
Yes. So now imagine we didn't get hit by a comet for another 1,000 years. The technology we're capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, something is coming to like, they can detect, because can you imagine how advanced they'd be?
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually detect a meteor or something coming that's gonna hit this. We're in a fucking asteroid belt.
Yeah.
Something's gonna hit us again. It's only a matter of fucking time.
They
come
say
to
that,
us.
yeah.
We have like, I think it's 12 more years, and then it's like this belt's coming back around, and it doesn't matter if we get hit by little debris or big debris, but it's coming back around.
And either way, it's gonna do some sort of damage.
It could, but it might not. But say it didn't, and we missed, right?
Mm.
So 1,000 more years, how advanced would we be? Pretty well, right?
Yeah, I think very well off,
Okay.
honestly.
So imagine, 100,000 years. Imagine 50,000 years. Imagine even 10,000, 20,000 years ago. So maybe is it possible that we had a human race that made it 5,000 years and were very advanced, and then they detected something hitting them?
Same thing.
So they go off into space, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to find a new home, so they're traveling, but they're like, we have to eventually come back to Earth. So they're guessing how long it will take when meteor hits, for the Earth to replenish, regrow itself, for the oxygen level to be normal,
Okay.
Carbon monoxide to be low, to the levels to be normal for them.
There was people before us a long time ago?
There definitely was all kinds of people.
They left, and then at some point you believe they're going to come back.
There was, in fact, we'll say, why would they not come back eventually?
True, but say they found somewhere else to live. That's, like the thing Elon Musk is pushing for now.
Yes.
He wants to find a new place sustainable for us.
What you were that saying is no place like home?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I've also, it's funny because I've watched a few sci-fi shows where there was one where we basically nuked each other to oblivion, and everyone was living in the International Space Station.
Yeah.
It was like, it's called The 100. It's a popular show on Netflix. I'd say maybe.
Oh, I saw that. It's an older, yeah, and they come back.
Yeah, but
This would take a very long time.
That gets way more broad off scale in sci-fi.
A nuclear war is not bad. It's something like 480 nukes is what would happen if a meteor hit this Earth. One.
Which means just
over the whole planet, right? So everything gets reset. So what happens if they're gone for a while, and then they set up a team and say, you know what? What if there is survivor? What if there's more humans there? Let's just go back and check them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they've been watching us for a while. And if you look at all this strange shit that's been happening recently, hasn't happened really recent ever since we're getting close to a nuclear Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if they were truly humans or part of our, race, they would let us destroy ourselves? Or maybe they would step in and intervene and stop us from destroying ourselves by maybe misdirection? Not really, because listen, can you imagine people living in space with the low gravity, cosmic radiation, and all this shit? There's no way they would look like us.
Yeah, there would be, especially if you said if it was however many years, they would definitely have
you don't
some
think
sort
their
of
bones,
mutations.
maybe their heads would be as big because the brain,
exactly.
But they don't need as much muscle, right?
Well, that's why they say the theory of the aliens with the big heads and the small bodies
Could be us.
Does fit because the low gravity, obviously they say people get taller in space, but when they come back to Earth, they lose inches.
Yes.
So maybe in
they
some
all lose
sort
weight
of,
in
like
space.
you said, maybe they have some sort of gravity for like inside their ships, which could explain for why,
it still wouldn't be enough. Yeah, it wouldn't be enough.
But it's like, or even if
It'd
they're
be
on
horrible.
another planet where they have heavier gravity,
Yeah.
that could just make the generation shorter and shorter from more gravitational pull.
We don't know, right?
And another thing is I've actually thought of with that, and this I think I saw on Joe Rogan, was they said the Egyptians, when they look at a lot of technology they had, and I want to say it was Moho Dario, in the Indus River Valley nations.
Yeah.
It's a full-blown city that they said was more intricately designed than New York City.
They've tried to.
So they're saying these people.
They can't figure out how these blocks came together.
But another thing they're saying, they think maybe they had technology we didn't have because ours went more technological route and less human physical, more mental.
Well,
but these people could have invented more physical inventions.
They could have been, and they could have lasted longer than us. They could have had like some kind of like spacecrafts, but didn't do the things like, why would they give a fuck about TVs? Like, how did we end that? How did we go down that path?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's like,
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. It's like also
we
human
look at
evolution.
It would have to be like us.
Yeah, it went from men having this role too, which now of like hardworking, doing all this shit you have to do, to some men now literally sit on the couch and do dick shit with their life, and it's like, how did that become an acceptable standard, and how is that normalized? Considering
it's just a way. It's a pattern. It's a system. So like where things finally happen. If you look like back in time, like there's a system that is fell down, right? It's like if you put a little like you put a pebble up in the top of a fucking a board, right? And you roll it down.
Mm-hmm.
The board's straight, right? Doesn't matter. The thing will always end at a different spot.
Yep.
And it could be like the grain of the wood. It could be thicker than one side. The fucking ball could be outweighted on one side, so it's always going to roll a little bit differently. And that is kind of like our planet. So we got our planet, and we got the animals, and whatever animals were here, in whatever phase we started off at, how quick our intelligence grew, how our population grew, all that stuff interacts. So if you have a population that's so massive and you're stupid, you're fucking like cavemen forever, right? You have a lot of trouble. But if you have smaller like tribal groups that are intelligent, and you keep the group smaller, you can better feed. You don't have to we have so much overpopulation right now.
Yeah.
And I know we're losing population in terms of like density of like our like birth rate, but in terms of like we've had more than we've needed. So like we're genetically altering food, we're making it so it grows faster, so the animals get bigger, so we have more food for more people.
We keep losing more and more farmers every year. It's like 3% of the American population is farmers right now. And
well, they can't. They don't need it. Everything is made from, like sucralose, or corn is like a huge thing.
But I know the new argument is they say they find one strain of disease that's genetically mutated now to this new GMO stuff, and there goes.
Well, that could destroy the whole crop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there goes, because they're all genetically modified.
I think we're gonna have to either go back to organic farming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
there's
if
got to
we
be
don't,
some sort of incentive to bring us back there, because even you see now,
well,
farmers.
And here it is. Well, here it is. So we're having all this shit happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if these things are happening to kill off a large population, freak everyone out, have everyone kind of work together, and what if the aliens, which are us from another time, right? It's a weird theory, but like
are pushing us in the right direction.
So they're just nudging. Not intentionally, but they're nudging to get us away from a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no telling where that's going to take us, but keep us from a nuclear war.
And I know what you mean, because you're saying also if they're so advanced, they'd have a way to predict the human, I guess.
They're kind of guessing, because they've been through it.
But even then, another thing is I could see too is like, say that is the case, say they are letting us do these things on purpose, because they want us to destroy ourselves because they already see it's inevitable. Like Albert Einstein.
Why would they be here then?
But that's the thing. Albert Einstein said that thing with the doomsday clock, right? He said once, it started with the atomic bomb, eventually it's inevitable. But that's what I think. So maybe they destroyed themselves. They monitored us from our development.
Well, why would they come back to watch us kill ourselves again?
Maybe they're letting it happen, so then once we do it, they can return. Because
they can't return once we have a nuclear war.
I'm saying like long term again though. If we're speaking in a
but you don't think
that's so far down the road.
I think everyone's kind of, if we survived, someone else would survive.
Yeah.
They'd have to wait another
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're playing like a very long term game, because you're also speaking in terms that these people were here 2,000 years ago before the start of our current civilization.
You don't think they'd want to try to help us?
I would want to say
not
yes,
help us? What if it's not help us, but help us not destroy the planet so they can come back?
Yeah.
But
another thing is I could totally
if we destroy the planet, that's just too long term. Wouldn't it be easier for them to just get us
But another thing is, if they have a planet that's sustainable right now, what's the rush to come back here?
Well,
Because
an easy way would be for them to attack our air.
But
They
I
could
would just
slowly
say,
kill us
say
off
they
and
did
then
want to
come
come
in.
back and help us. My whole thing would be,
Well, I don't think help us. I think help the planet. Oh, I don't believe it's for us.
Okay.
So, no, I don't believe.
So
no,
now,
they want to help us not start a nuclear war.
So you think they just want to come back here to be back on the planet?
Yes, but but the only way to do that would be to
But that's
kind
where
of
my
snuff out a lot of
comes
us.
in. Yeah, exactly. Because hear me out, though. I was just saying, with that part, I was thinking more. Say they came back here now and they look and they go, "Well, we're only going to be here for however long because they're going to blow us up again. Like they're going to be idiots, like we were." That's why I said maybe they're playing some really long game because we're also talking like these people, like we even say.
But by the time they come back here and the
Yeah.
planet is ready for them again,
it's however long.
What will those people? What will that version of us be? Maybe
I
worse.
would say, but maybe they stop that after the bombs go off. Say maybe their whole plan is we're gonna stop the cycle, and then
how could they stop that? They won't be able to come down here. They can't come down here when that's going on.
Yeah, but then what you could argue for the survivors, how would there be any? You know,
there would be. Well, if there was always, how would we make it here?
Because eventually the whole
if the Earth got hit,
starts.
Yeah, but if the Earth got hit by a meteor, how would we? If one of us didn't survive from before, how did we survive? You know what I mean?
Wouldn't evolution technically start over again? Isn't that
no? We're not evolution. We're not animals. We're not monkeys. There's just no way. There's no way. Do you want to know why? Can we breed with a monkey?
No, not for my knowledge. No.
So, do you hear about the thing with the woolly mammoth? That they're bringing a woolly mammoth next year.
Yeah, they're trying to.
No, it's not try. Next year, they already have it. So they found.
So what are they doing? Cloning it from cells they found, or
they
defrosting
it? They took the cells out of it. So they decoded the DNA, complete DNA of this, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is there's an Indian elephant that is the only left ancestor of that.
Okay.
Which is kind of wild. It's not even the same size. It's much smaller.
So they're going to attempt to breed them?
Well, there's no attempt. They don't have to. So they take the egg out of it when it's fertilized. They switch the DNA code inside of it.
Gotcha.
They put it back in.
Genetically modifying a baby, pretty much.
It gives birth to a woolly mammoth. It was just born in a fucking Indian elephant.
That's crazy.
Baffling, right? But it's totally doable.
Because I've also heard that you can now genetically choose what color you want your kid's hair to be.
Yeah, so there's all this wild shit, right? So if they can do that, that's pretty mind-boggling that they could take that from there, and then somehow maneuver that another way.
Because even then, you think, like you said, even then, like in the timestamp where we are, 2023, it's like.
That's nothing.
If there was a civilization that was 5,000 years, they already doubled what we are.
Yeah.
And it's like, what could they have?
Well, you see, so
because that's
they can only bring that woolly mammoth back because they have the Indian elephant, right?
Yep.
Because that is the only one that would be able to hold that helix, that DNA strand together. Gotcha. They'd be able to feed it correctly, right, in the mother's womb, right, and give birth to it. Can we take a fertilized egg of us and put it in a monkey?
No.
That's what I'm saying. There's no relative there. We are not a descendant of that, and if people are still stuck on this, it's not possible. If it was, because the woolly mammoth's been gone, right, for a long fucking time, they can still put it in there, this one descendant, and they can grow it back.
Okay.
They can't. If we were a descendant of the monkey, right?
Yeah, you're saying we should
Couldn't
be able to do that technically.
Right?
Okay.
It's impossible. So that means we are our own breed, and if we are, that evolved from us, our own type of human.
And
we've just survived.
Yeah, and I can understand people mixing up the characteristics because prior humans shared similar characteristics with monkeys, but that's probably just because we're similar in our nature.
Because we walked on 2 feet.
That's how.
You know what I mean? They had opposable thumbs, but there's other animals that have opposable thumbs. You know, it's not just us and monkeys.
And another thing is you also account for how much mutations happen to humans, like
throughout the years,
from Homo sapiens to.
If monkeys are living in a jungle around humans and they're watching humans, they're very good with mimicking shit, right? So if they're watching humans do things with their hands, they're probably going to figure that out. So then they've been doing it. So like the ancestors of them, they've all been doing it. So other monkeys, the babies see the mother doing things and grabbing the banana, so they do it the same way.
This reminds me of Benny. Monkeys see a monkey do.
It's true. It's it's interesting to think. You know, you look at there's like 5 different types of like humanoid types on that they know of.
So, but
So how do we not know that all 5 of those weren't descendants from another apocalyptic?
yeah, but even then, you could always argue, like, then into your theory, say there was an apocalypse, and say they literally put one human back here to start it over again.
Well, they could.
Yeah, exactly. So that could have been.
Well, they couldn't
like
have one.
But no, but that could back up your
They
theories.
can't have one, can they?
True, but a few. So
Yeah.
but I get what you're saying now.
So you
saying
think
like,
they put all the animals too?
No, but I'm saying maybe humans specifically came from another planet, and then here was just the rest of evolution taking on, and someone guided it. You know what I mean?
It's not impossible.
Because the thing is, like you said, if we didn't descend from monkeys, the next question would be so.
Well, we got here somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's something that.
So then I could see that theory coming into place too, of maybe someone planted us here to see.
It's really interesting.
Because that's another thing. Maybe there was no apocalyptic, and say there maybe we were just a higher race who put us here as an experiment. We could be a giant experiment. We don't know the broad scale of the universe.
Well, they do have an idea of how our universe was like this big and then just exploded and like.
Yeah, the Big Bang, right?
They call it something else now. I can't fucking remember. Some guy was talking about it. How it blows out, right? So. And it's
keeps
constantly
expanding.
growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting further and
stopping.
further. Yeah. So like.
That's where I see
Space is getting further away from
someone
us.
said that, and they said that's their scientific justification for some sort of god or entity that created it all.
Because something would have to do
Yeah,
that,
because
right?
they said they literally took nothing, and now it's being pushed outwards with no sign
weird?
of receding, which means it literally came from nothing.
It's really difficult for me to believe in like one type of God because then something would have to bring that God into it. It's like what came first, the
But then
chicken or
also-
the egg?
yeah.
What came
But
first,
then
us
you
or a
can also
God?
question then scientists say we
Fuck.
only have so much cognitive ability of the brain. So think like maybe it's just something that's too far outside of our level of understanding. Maybe it's something that we are not meant to comprehend.
Well,
That's
yeah,
another
I mean,
thing
we
I
only
saw,
see
too.
in like different. So
Because think if we
what
were
if we didn't see it? We don't see in a full spectrum.
yeah.
So if we did, maybe there's something else we're missing.
And even then, maybe it's just literally too much for the brain to understand. Like the human brain is not capable. Like if you have a computer with an older processor, and with all newer parts, the processor is going to short circuit. Because that's one another thing. We have IQ points. We have people who are like Elon Musk who can think about these in such.
You know,
a
he doesn't
broader-
think that aliens ever been this planet.
He doesn't.
No. He said that if there was, he would fucking have seen them by now. Because of all the shit, the satellites he's fucking got out there. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, because that's another thing, yeah. Because then you can even argue NASA. How come you haven't seen anything? The
Okay.
International Space System.
But what if they're already here?
Among Us too. That's another thing.
If
another
we can
movie that
clone
was based
things,
off that too.
if we can clone things, why can't they?
Yeah.
Couldn't they clone us?
There was a movie called The Fifth Wave where aliens. The whole theory was they were humans. They just were little microbes that went into your brain
What?
and took you over. Like that's how the aliens worked. They controlled humans. They stole your intelligence.
Like this, like mushroom spore. That's like a
Si-
zombie spore.
Similar, but in the concept of like that was the alien disguising itself as a human by taking over a human's brain rather than just presenting itself in its form.
Maybe. I've been watching. You ever watch the ending of Walking Dead? The full thing. I'm
Wait,
on the
is that-
11th episode.
Is
I
it
don't.
over?
I don't know. I honestly
What
don't
season?
know.
13?
I have no idea. I'm on 11 right now. I didn't watch it for years, and then I started
Yeah, that's
watching
what I
again.
did. I stopped after season 9 and I picked up. So do you know what's going on at that point in the show?
There's some of them are in with like these like stormtrooper guys. They have like this brand like a real
I
town.
know exactly where you
Yeah,
are.
that's real town
Yeah,
and
and they're
stuff
all
to
like
them.
the guard in the armor. There's the one guy in the orange who looks like a big traffic cone, right?
Yes, the huge black
Oh,
dude.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly where I am.
He okay, so yeah, so that's I'm just bringing that up about The Walking Dead. So like I always like wonder like I would love for like a zombie. So me and said it with all this last night. She's like, well, if that was true, she goes, but if there was a zombie, she goes, if the first person that got bit or had it, they would just take care of them and get rid of it. They would cancel it. And I'm like, well, no, because
Well,
like,
think
in the
about like
movie,
with COVID. Even with COVID.
well,
that
no, the
was-
movie it was in the air, right? So if you die,
Oh yeah, Walking Dead. Everyone was infected. And
yeah,
that's why they
somehow. So
sectioned
if you
A and
die,
Bs. Some people were immune, some aren't.
yeah. So if you have it in you, doesn't matter how you die. So it's like
Exactly.
that's how you You don't know who
And they
has
say
it.
once you're dead, it could be literally 20 years, and your dead corpse will just wake up.
Yeah, so
that's the whole
you wouldn't
concept.
even know. So it would be no way to stop it.
Yeah.
Or this type of fungus thing. You know what I mean? That's
Because even in The Last of Us, they say that is a real base scenario. They just said
could happen.
They said the factors for it to happen are too far
I know.
outside of what is currently reachable.
We can't
but that
say
doesn't
that.
mean in 30, 40
we
years.
have a virus that is made from a bat genome.
Yeah.
So
30, 40 years, that may be the new thing, the new COVID. Literally, The Last of Us virus.
That'd be so great. I would fucking... I had been dying to just fucking kill things.
But then you got to remember, no more pancake mix, because that's the first way you're getting it.
Pancake mix?
That in the show, that was how everyone...
What?
Because they said one infected person with the fungus gets into the pancake mix.
Oh, that's... Oh, it was like
a cereal, the dry processed goods
so funny.
that are mass produced. So they said, because one of the girls,
so people
Ellie,
eating cereal?
She asked him, she's like...
I eat cereal, so I'm great.
Yeah, he asked him, she's like, so how do you think everyone got it so quick? Because it all happened within a day.
It's in the movie?
In the show.
Yeah.
The Last of Us. I'm not sure.
I've seen it.
I gotta show you my HBO.
Yeah.
But it's a very good show. And the whole concept is she looks at the actor Pedro Pascal who plays Joel and goes,
yeah,
how do you think this transpired so quickly? Same set of questions.
Yeah.
How did this all flip overnight? And he goes, well, his theory was, which I think is the leading theory for the show.
That it happened in a processing plant?
Yeah, they said, one person gets infected
bacteria.
and, obviously it's the whole thing is just contagion from touching or biting, etc.
Yeah, I mean, from your skin.
He said, yeah, it got in the pancake mix, got in the baked goods or wherever that is mass produced throughout the country. One or two people eat it.
Because it was a molded
then,
fast.
Then they said, by the time, one or two people were bit, and you realize, oh shit, it's spread through being bit. That's why it's too late. That was
so it is getting bit in that movie too. It's kind of like the one.
Yeah, that one was not everyone's infected. The whole thing is you literally get bit, and that's how you get infected. Sharing of blood, so the fungus can transfer from one to another. So it's more like the Ebola situation where you have to contact someone.
Yeah, makes sense.
But the whole leading story with the show is that the one person who can't get sick is this girl. And they don't know why, because the fungus is still in her arm, but it won't grow. So they're that's the leading thing for the show.
Trying to figure out why.
That's literally the concept that the show takes off. Because in the game, it was a little bit different. It was more centered around zombie apocalypse.
I think we need that. I think we need a nice apocalypse. It was a little...
we always say we'd be fine at the gym. We'd have all our provisions. We'd still be strong, and we'd have our guns.
I tell you, it's like we gotta get out further. The cities would be destroyed. They kill each other, so you don't even worry about it.
In the show, that was the worst part.
Really? You get the fuck further out, the better you got, man.
That's what I love about The Last of Us. Unlike The Walking Dead, where, they're in the middle of the countryside and all of a sudden a horde of 1,000 zombies shows up. How realistic is that? That's not.
Well, here's how it happens. No one thinks about this shit. So, something bad like that happens, people get out of town, they get out of the city, right? And so they're stuck on the road. Yeah. And that's how it happened. So that is how something like that happens.
It's funny, though,
you
because
just
The
got to
Last
get
of Us
out. You want to
push...
be the first out
mm-hmm.
so that you can kind of set up some type of, like, I don't know, like barricade. Or how about those people that set up the thing in Walking Dead, right? So they had...
Yeah, the little community, right?
They had it from the start.
Mm-hmm.
No one else did because there were so many singular people. Yeah. It's hard to build a community. Those people had so many people to start that they were able to build that town, and that's why they had it from day one.
Similar to that in the Last of Us episode 3, this guy Bill, he reminds me of you. He has a basement with a gun locker, grenades, little cameras, and it's like a pull-open speakeasy floor. So the whole concept with the show, and I don't want to go too much into spoiling it, basically the apocalypse starts to happen within that day. These soldiers from Fedra, it's a World Alliance government.
Yeah. And
it goes all authoritarian dictator from then on. But the thing is, this one
kinda
guy,
like
Bill,
now.
is sitting in his basement going, "You communist pricks!" And he's watching all his cameras. They go through his house, look for him. They're evacuating everyone in these trucks, take him to the quarantine zone. Once the quarantine zones were full, they put them all down because they go, "You can't get affected if you're dead." So the military was killing people off on purpose. So the big cities, Kansas City, Boston, Los Angeles, New York, all have a little quarantine radius of maybe 10, 15 miles of this small little communities at each. But obviously most of the population was killed off not even by zombies, but by the people because they were trying to prevent it.
Well, because you kill off the herd that can't turn.
But this guy Bill comes out, and first thing he does off the rip is he goes to his local Home Depot. He raids everything like I would know you would do. He sets up electric fences, gas traps, everything, and he takes this small little community town, like in a rural nowhere, and he puts the fence up, and he revives the entire town. Him and one other dude that he finds along the way, and that was the whole episode 3 because they lived for 25 years in this little community, just those two.
No shit.
Yeah, because they set up, that was the whole thing. Because they were so far isolated in the countryside.
Yeah.
Everyone who got infected was in the cities, stuck on the roads, trying to get out.
Yeah.
So the few zombies that made it up to them, it was nothing.
It was easy to kill, yeah. That would be how to do it. I tell you, I'm not,
I can tell
I'm
you
ready
the first
for it.
person I'm calling when it happens.
I'm ready, dude, because it's sad that you'd have to lose a lot of loved ones. But, I don't know, I'm just like, fortunately, we're losing them all anyways. It frustrates me that how weak-minded everyone is now, and nobody's willing to like stand up for things. So maybe a next apocalypse. You know what's funny is like people, like during 9/11, people got together. All these big things that people, like coronavirus, like nobody got together because the media and the government tried to push racism. They tried to push left and right, mask, no mask. Vaccine, no vaccine. This guy, I don't want to take a vaccine, so I'm killing your grandmother. Some fucking how, you know? I mean, like, and it really
focus
was
on
crazy.
The non-important shit.
It's fucking crazy that this time it got fucking the media turned it. So instead of people working together and getting closer, they pushed them apart. And then they're saying, well, anyone could have it. They could give it to you, kill you. So everyone stayed alone in their house. Yeah, I didn't. It was crazy. Me and Giacomo would go places and be like the only one out. It was like a fucking zombie apocalypse. When that first happened, it was crazy, dude. We were just the only ones on the road in Syracuse. I loved it.
I remember it too. Because me and my friends would go biking every day and we'd be on the
trails. Everything was
like,
closed around here.
Oh, everything.
Syracuse wasn't that bad. Like you could find groceries and you could find stuff.
From March till June, nothing. Literally couldn't order a pizza here.
Because there's so many fucking people here. And not just citizens, not just American citizens. We shouldn't. I feel bad for other people in other countries, but they're not our citizens. They're not us. We should take care of our people first. So the fact that this area is fucking swarming is why you're gonna have. Anytime there's a problem, there's gonna be a fucking like a drought of fucking food, water, shortages, gasoline. It's gonna always happen because there's too many people in this area that don't fucking belong here. And I'm sorry, they don't fucking belong here. It is what it fucking is. They're not citizens. It's and it's not like I don't feel compassion. I don't feel bad for what, the problems they have in their place where, their hometown, or place where they come from. I do feel bad, but we got to worry about ourselves. And if we would have worried about ourselves, we wouldn't have been in Afghanistan. We'd have worried about ourselves, we wouldn't be in this fucking bullshit war with fucking Russia right now, which we are in a soft war with Russia, whether we fucking believe it or not. We sure are. There's no way they send out submarines first time in 30 years if they're not concerned with us. They don't give a fuck about Britain.
Because they know at the end of the day, Britain. We are the two who would go head to head. Russia and us.
So they have to, and they're trying to defend their people too.
Aren't they even saying that China's still kind of like picking its way out of this? That's what
China's trying to, because China,
they're trying
as crazy as they say China is, they don't want a fucking nuclear war.
Because they're smarter than that.
Yes, they're trying to, they've been trying to buy this country capital. Like, they own a lot of this country now.
Yeah.
They don't want to destroy it. They've been losing their profits.
This was also
they lose a lot of their profits.
This was on the podcast I was listening today with Jordan Peterson on the Joe Rogan.
For what was this new one or?
No, it was an old one.
Oh.
But they were talking about that. And they're talking about how China has a lot of influence here and how
it's not even influence. They own shit.
But also
the farms, the land.
They have more engineers coming out of China per year than we have had. Period. Employed, like in the U.S.
Try to think back.
They have so many more people than us, but that's also why they say they have all this technology they have, because all of it is going into engineering. That's like the pushed path.
Yeah. Well, what are kids? So what is the
average American?
Anyone in your family that's like 15 and under?
Yeah, I have 3 cousins.
I want you to ask them what they want to be when they grow up.
One wants to be a doctor.
Oh, really?
He's already watching open heart surgery at 7 years old.
The other one?
So, other one, I think he's pushing. He wants to go military, but he's too young to.
Yeah.
But his father, that's his biggest regret, not going to the military, but he's like 7 years old, coming up to me showing these like serrated edge blade knives and like how to twirl them on his fingers, and I'm like, he's playing with a knife. Does anyone want to take this from him?
Yeah.
And the youngest one, who knows? He's too young.
What do you think the average kid growing up these days wants to be?
I feel like they don't know.
Instagram,
I feel
blogger.
like,
They want to be a movie star. They want to be an actor. They want to be a singer.
Or they go to college. They get a business degree.
They have no
and
idea
never
what they
do
want to
anything
do.
with it.
But because they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
What do you think the people in China want to be?
Engineer.
They want to fucking own everything.
Yeah, they want
computers.
Like they
as
always,
little kids, like
software
this is their,
engineer. Like they pride themselves on their intelligence. Americans, I feel like we're a little.
Like, I want to be a blogger.
Yeah,
What?
I feel like with Americans, our agenda has become so because they're taking up the mantle and doing what they know they need to do to get back to society. Well, Americans will. I feel like too many of us are pushing this idea of I'll sit back and do what I want to do, and someone else will do it.
It's a get rich quick thing.
Eventually, too many people do that.
It's a get rich quick thing. It's like I want to make money.
Yeah,
doing
and then
nothing.
do nothing.
And
because there's few people who do it and do it so well, like the guys who do day trade or investing. Yeah. But people don't realize those guys are losing thousands of dollars.
No, I mean the people like on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These like people that like think they're just gonna like be bloggers.
I don't even believe that's a get rich scheme. I believe that's just a fucking black hole that everyone falls into.
It's really random.
Yep.
Look at fucking what the fuck his name? Andrew Tate.
Mm-hmm.
He literally, by him just being as crazy as he was,
he
blew the fuck up, dude. Like he was so radical in his thinking, and none of it was really crazy. It was just how it was how he said his message that was crazy. Nothing he says wrong. Nothing he says is wrong. It's how he says it that comes off fucking very like brash, and it's just like. Because it pisses people off.
When he says the stuff with the Matrix, I totally believe him. Yeah. I do believe there's people who are pulling the strings on everything that happens.
And everyone knows that.
And the people who don't believe it are way too oblivious.
I think most people believe it. I just think, how he says it.
Yeah, I think the things he ties into it, and then also what he stands for, a lot of people won't get behind.
And then he says like the men should own the women and stuff, and he says that crazy shit, and I really. He just goes fucking so far off base with what it should be.
Because he'll start with something logical and then there you go.
Where it's more like, then, I don't know, it's so weird because then he said things that like he means to respect his women and this and that. And it's like, so I think half of it he says because he's gotten so much push from it.
Exactly.
Like when I had my pizza shop in Syracuse, I was like the crazy pizza guy. So when people come interview me or want to talk to me about a fight or about a problem, I would tell them to fuck off. I would throw shit at them. And it was just me being me. But it always, like, I was, like, infamous. Like, it became, like...
known for it.
I was, like, they hated me. And people around, people wanted to talk, they hated me. But that made business better.
Yeah.
People wanted to come down. They wanted to see the crazy pizza
marketing.
Guy flip the fuck out on somebody. Yep. I've debated... putting a fucking Trump 2024 sign in the fucking window of the gym. Swear to God, just so that people in town will protest it and will say shit, and it'll draw more attention because I don't think people even know it's there that much.
Yeah, there's a few people I've spoken to in our area who were like, "Wait, there's a gym over there?"
Yeah, so
they all notice that.
Dude, the whole fucking area would hear about it if I had a fucking giant Trump foot, you know what I mean?
Because that's one of those things in our area that just sparks a lot of controversy. Yeah. But that's why they say bad publicity is still good publicity. Yeah. Like,
and don't get me wrong, I would rather have DeSantis president, but I do think it would make sense. It would be good for business. Yeah. To attract attention if I made a giant Trump flag.
Yeah, like-minded in there too.
Yeah, I don't mind what people's political opinions are. I just don't want them to be fooled. I was a Democrat for a long time until I was like, what the fuck is going on? Obama wasn't fucking doing anything in this country. He was giving everything to every other country. And then he was making it okay for people to like hate police and kill police instead of saying, you know what, be fucking responsible. I'm a black man, American, and I became president of the United States. Be responsible. You don't pull a gun to a cop. I'm not saying there isn't bad cops, there isn't racism in certain things. There definitely is. But, the ones that we see are all literally criminals attacking police. And they get put down. Don't fucking shoot at people. Don't attack people. Don't, pistol whip your girlfriend. Don't, it's like, you know what I mean? I want to have one where the guy was he was a fucking lawyer, and he was in Wegmans, the grocery Stop and Shop, and he was picking up eggs, and a cop came in and was like, "Oh, are you stealing that?" and blew him away. Doesn't fucking happen. Never will happen, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Dude,
if that happened, yes. You know what? If that was happening instead of the criminals being shot, okay, I would be like, you know what? Okay, now's a reason to say that, but it's just a fucking Obama gave the worst message, and it didn't make sense, and all he did was push this huge race thing, and he made black people hate cops, thinking that cops hate them, but the cops don't hate them, right? So now they're more itchy with the cops.
Yep.
Maybe they're more apt to pull a gun on a cop.
Yeah.
And the cops, because they're getting shut all the time, but like are more quick to pull a gun on them.
Yeah.
So the media
they pushed an idea into both
Obama and the media,
heads.
Obama, the media, and the Democratic Party pushed this shit so hard that they've made both people trigger happy.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you stop that now? It's fucking impossible, dude. The only way to stop that would be like through education, and unfortunately, inner cities, it's never gonna happen, dude. It's never gonna happen. Not unless it starts in the home, and it's not if we keep giving people free money to have tons of kids unwed, and then you tell the women you're gonna give them more money if the father of the kids don't live with you, so they kind of push the guy out too. So now there's a fatherless home. That's fucked up. It's incentivizing for the father to not be in the house with his kids. We have a fucked up system, man. We really do. And I think that's a huge problem too, but you're not going to see that on the cover of the headlight of BlackLivesMatter.com. Like they're not going to talk about that shit.
Well,
Instead they talk about LGBTQ.
That was another thing when they went
They talk about
that
LGBTQ and shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
But we all remember what the
How is that going to make the black community stronger? LGBTQ, fucking never going to do it. And I have nothing against fucking LGBTQ or gay or trans. I have nothing against any of those people. I never cared about it. I don't give a fuck. Do your own fucking thing.
Yeah.
There was this woman that was a guy that was, sorry, I can't even know. It was a guy, this tall guy that was turning into a woman. Like this trans woman. I don't even know how it works. Trans woman. He's not a real woman. He's a man. Whatever the fuck it is.
Familiar with
right? I don't understand the whole logic of it or how it works. I don't understand the wording. So he was working at this place, and little by little, like the wig, and then like the nail, and then it was like breast implants, and little by little, really, like if I hadn't been there for 2 years and see the slow transition, I would have thought it was a woman. And I used to be like, you know what? And then so I was like, okay, thanks, hon. I didn't want to be disrespectful, but looked like a woman at that point. I knew from years before, but it's when you see something that it looks like a duck, acts like a duck, correct? So it's easy to easy to call it a duck, but like
exactly.
So I've never had a problem, any of that shit. So this has nothing to do with that. This just has to do with pulling in, like that whole idea of the Black Lives Matter, pulling in another some like group that's supposedly disparaged to try to build up theirs, which does the total opposite.
What's the whole thing even with that is that was just
makes no fucking sense.
Everyone saw where the money went. Nowhere. It went to them buying mansions or whatever the fuck. It was a giant scheme and a giant scam.
I don't get it, man.
I think the concept's good, but when you put an organization behind it and you're asking for money for it, it defeats the whole purpose.
What happens is families need to, and there's a ton of fatherless white homes too. It's no better. People need to get back to that. The government has to stop giving checks based on how many kids and based on fatherless homes, and give checks based on how many kids you have and you're married. Mm-hmm. There's other countries that, I think, Iceland's one, because I would love to move there. It's only as cold as Syracuse. It's not like a horrible place to go. Syracuse is cold, but it's not as cold as here, but it's way colder than, it's way colder than here. But, it's they give, like, so if you're married and you have every kid you have, you get a bigger tax break, so you get money per kid. You don't get that if you're divorced.
Gotcha.
So incentivizes keeping families together.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite of what we do here. So we need to put a program like that in place that will help the black community, like, have more like family oriented stuff. Maybe more church type things, and I'm not a super religious person, but they were very religious years ago, and you know, you look 60s, 70s, there was more fatherless white homes than black homes.
I mean,
So I do think, I mean, and I think it really was because of their beliefs and their spirituality, and you know, you can't be shooting your friends. You know, you're not religious if you're killing your best friend over $5. You know, so I think there has to be some way to get back to that.
I've heard a lot, especially about that with religion being something that just humans need some concept or grasp of mentally to stay grounded.
I agree.
It's like a set of moral beliefs, whatever it is. Like, even if you're very like me, who's very loose on it, like I'll say like I believe in a God, but not specifically specifying in what or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And I don't like go to church. I don't.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's a higher power that is pulling the strings behind obviously everything.
So I don't know if I believe that. I do believe in fate.
Yeah, that's
So
what
how
I'm
it ended
referring
up
to.
here.
The universe, fate, like that stuff. Not really that, you know, there's this guy who
It's one thing.
one specific person or
Why would you say
entity.
guy? It's very sexist of you.
Yeah.
Why does there have to be a guy?
That's another thing that's a little bullshit. Because that's another thing. It's like, I refer to people a lot where I'm like, thanks, man, thanks, dude. And I hate that because I know there's, like, if I do it on accident, I know the one person is going to react and blow up. It's not like, hey, can you not do that? Because then it's different. It's always now, you just, you know, you insulted them, so they're going to blow up at you, bark at you, scream at you, and whatever
Before
else.
coronavirus, it was like probably that summer before, I held the door open for someone at the mall.
And they were offended, right?
She goes, excuse me? She's like, I don't need your fucking help holding the door open for me. And as she was trying to walk through the door, I fucking slammed the door into her. Well, fuck you then. How do you like that then?
Because I hold the door for a guy. I hold the door for
Christ.
Like anyone. It's like that's courtesy because I don't think you like it when you're walking and someone just within 5 seconds the door slams right in your face.
I know, but I'm a little old fashioned with women. I do things more for them. I think in general, any woman. And I'm just like, I would fucking piss me off. Like fucking.
But then also,
she made a huge scene about it.
But women complain men don't have chivalry anymore. But then when we try to, you call us sexist, misogynistic.
Yeah.
It's like, listen. There's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be a compromise. There's got to be some way where, like, you can, you know, like, you can't have it both ways.
No.
Because they're arguing they want it both ways, but literally both ways contradict each other. Okay, you don't want me to hold the door for you, but you still want me to show you chivalry. How am I going to do that if anything that I do that is chivalry insults you?
You know what you do? You just, I'm kind of old-fashioned with shit like that. You know, do the old-fashioned things.
Yeah.
And you know you're doing the right thing. If they don't like it, fuck them. I don't give a fuck, to be honest.
Like, even with the pronouns now, like, a lot of schools, and I don't like this. My old school, I'm not going to name the university because I don't know what that will cause, but they would force you to wear a name tag your first 3 to 4 days there. You had to wear it.
Hey, wasn't that school, the first one you went to?
Yeah. They made you wear it with your pronouns. Now, listen.
What school was it called? I can't remember. I'll fucking say it.
Quinnipiac.
Oh, that Quinnipiac, yeah. That can't be the only one, dude.
Oh, no, a lot
There's
of
no
schools
way.
do it. But luckily, the school I'm at now doesn't do it. If you use it, they're very, like, you know, feel free to use it, but they don't force you.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody fucking cares.
You know, like,
do whatever the fuck you want.
At the beginning of
if
class,
you want to be a giraffe, be a giraffe. Yeah.
Like, my professors have all said, if you have a pronoun or whatever, let me know. If you want to email me it because you're not whatever. They're very inclusive, but they're also not excluding the kids who don't, which is what I like.
Yeah.
The old school was like, no, you have to, and I was like, look like a duck. I am a duck. Like, that's how I roll.
Yeah.
I look like a dude. I am a dude. But if you use pronouns, I'm more than fine than using it to respect you. That's fine. But don't force me to.
How can you say it? You can say it if they don't look it, though. There's no way I could do it. And I don't mean on a moral stand. I just can't. Like, if it's a guy, and because like, can you imagine if I came in and was like
more instinctive than you have to rewrite your own instinct.
I'm a woman. I want to be named called she.
I did that the other
There's
day.
no fucking way you're gonna call me her and she.
Yeah.
It's impossible. You know, even if you really wanted to try to, you're gonna do it like 1 every 10 times. You know, there's no fucking way.
And that's another thing also is like people need to also, I feel like
look the part. You want to pretend you're a woman? Fucking look like it.
Even then, those people who, you know, either don't identify as whatever, right? It's like,
what do you mean don't identify? Just fucking pick something.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? There's people out here who are like, I'm non-binary now, and I'm like,
what do you mean? You have a dick? Do you have
I
a
don't
fucking
know what it
pussy?
means. It means
Well,
they
if you
don't.
have one of those,
It means they don't
you're leaning
identify
more.
as anything.
I'll guarantee you're leaning more towards that end that you have. You know what I
But-
mean? What the fuck?
So they'll like choose and say like, we don't want anything. We want to be referred to with these pronouns, right? Okay, so look, from their perspective, they want to be respected, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So how come then I have to be disrespected by changing how I act and I live to cater to you? Fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on that.
Agree.
If you want me to use pronouns, etc., sure. But don't tell me I have to do something because you do it. I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Do you think this shit happens in the Muslim world? I think they have it right in some ways. We gotta have like a Christian Muslim Chris. Okay, we do like a combination of Christian and Muslim.
Muslianity.
I'm gonna create Muslianity. You know what? If I could do that, I could probably the gym. I could call it a church.
Oh my god.
The Church of Muslianity, and I could teach a whole different theory. Which is kind of how I do to you guys, anyways. Like
It's a seminar that's.
I'm very respectful. I love women, but I do think a guy's a guy, and he has his roles.
Yeah.
I mean, I cook for set. I do laundry. That's different from like, don't be a bitch.
Yeah.
Do not let a fucking woman because they don't want that. They don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to control them. You just have to be a man. That's all you got to do. Be a man. You know, be them. It's like they need to have someone to talk to, and just like you need them to talk to. We need the opposite sex to communicate with. You know, we need somebody softer, and they need somebody a little harder to be honest with us about stuff. We need that. And I just don't think, I think somehow this generation has forgotten that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's another thing. Jordan Peterson goes into it. You are rewriting the human brain. You are
so fucked up.
And we're learning about it in psych, right? Neuroplasticity. The brain is constantly changing. So whatever you're digesting on the daily, which is why if they
why do you think they're doing it in the fucking elementary schools with the kids?
Yeah, because
they're fucking them up.
Yeah, at the young age, those kids are so susceptible to everything you are giving them. You need to understand that they don't have logical processing yet.
No.
They don't have higher brain functioning until they're at least like maybe, what is it, like 12? And even then the brain develops till like, what, 30?
Yeah.
They're saying 30 now. So you sit there and you know, we go over the different life stages, how like, during this stage it debates whether you're going to be anxious or calm in like fight or flight scenarios based off how you were nurtured as a kid. And I look back and I think, wow, my parents fucked up a lot, and that explains a lot of shit I've dealt with. But I think then, so how is the little shit my mother didn't do, or the little shit, my dad didn't do, or like these tiny little things not paying enough attention to you when you were 3 or 4 years old?
Yeah.
Imagine pushing this whole agenda onto these kids.
Yeah.
Their brains literally can't comprehend it.
That's bad.
Like,
I'm telling you, that generation is super fucked. Super fucked.
And even my generation, it's very selective to find a few who aren't.
No, I know, but I mean, theirs is. So yeah, but you guys have been getting it since like middle school, high school.
They're getting it from.
It's not elementary school. It's bad. It's bad. I don't know where it's going to lead. I'm hoping it leads to a zombie apocalypse.
It scares me that people haven't woken up. That's the worst part. Because there's people who I see who are, at 30, 40 years old even, and they're just like, they're still in this bubble. And I'm like, I would think by all the years of life you had, you would have popped that bubble and you would have came out of it and woken up. And the fact is, even now, I'm noticing it more than ever because I'm driving 40 minutes a day down and back to class at school as a commuter student, how bad gas is. Because people, for a little while, it dipped. It used to be $4.50. Now it's $3.50. It's still $3.50. It's still $3.70 the next day.
Yeah.
That's not good. It's better, but it's not good. The standard was what when Trump was in office? $2 and change?
Yeah, it was $2-something, $2.70, $2.60, something like that.
Like something ridiculously cheaper, even compared to now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've noticed now is when we go to the grocery store, that's where the inflation's hitting more than ever now.
Oh God.
I went to ShopRite yesterday, and I'm like, me and my mother spent $360, and that was just on food from yesterday till say maybe it lasts me until Tuesday next week.
I don't get it. But you know what? We're short of supply of chicken eggs, but not chickens. I don't understand how that works out. Unless it's something in the feed that's fucking up the chickens and they can't lay eggs.
Dude, you never know. And that's the worst part. totally feel they would do that for the reasons like you said,
It's gonna come down to cannibalism. Can you do it? It's gonna come down to
Hey man, they could just be. That's another
It's
thing.
gonna come down to
They've done that before in a lot of these countries, like the communist Soviets. They would let the poor people starve to kill them off a little bit, you know. But you know, even then, everyone was technically poor, and there was the few elites. But it's like even in that like economy,
We don't
they were
see it
still
like that.
yeah, because people now, and that's another thing they say. This woke movement is pushing very hard towards the same agenda that the Soviets and communists
Yeah.
did in socialism. It's like it's one thing to want, you know, a balance between the two. Like even now we have socialism
Yeah.
in our economy
Yes.
and in our government, but they're saying like this woke mob is pushing this agenda so hard and radical that it just screams fascism.
Well, look at some of the bigger farms that were burned down aren't corporate farms.
Mm-hmm. Small
So
farmers.
You know, it's possible they're
Working
trying to
class
wipe
will always
people
suffer
out.
the most.
You know, it's scary. I don't know, Matt. It's nice having you. Maybe next time we can talk about something a little more delightful.
A little bit more lifting related.
All right, thanks, guy.